boy.
Guys, I cannot wait for Burial at Space. How fun is that going to be?
You know, that's my dream too, man. I don't even have to be. This body doesn't even have to be dead this time around. Just put me on a ship, find the path that will go the furthest into the ink without being interrupted by something, and then I'll just go. History is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now, or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Let's hear from our old pal, the Samurai. Samurai has been writing in for quite a while. We always enjoy getting a letter from him. And Samurai, like many of our fellow conspiracy realists, shared a personal story in reaction to our Body Brokers episode, which really, I don't know about you guys, but that one really stuck with me. It was unclean. So Samurai says, "Hey guys, me again. As always, you have my permission to read this on the air, and you may refer to me as the Samurai. I love this episode," Body Brokers, he means, "but it was a little depressing as I have lost several people to a combo of COVID and cancer in the last 2.5 years. Nothing you can do about that, but it was something that needed to be discussed. I got 2 items for you today. 1, I cannot give details, for I did not have her permission to do so, but in general, I had a friend of the family who lost their grandparents to COVID/pneumonia. And just heads up, folks, this is an insane story. She lived a good distance away, and when she was finally able to get to the hospital where her grandmother died, they could not find the body. Because there were no written instructions, even though they spoke to my friend on the phone about it and agreed to store the body until she got there, they had handed it off to a third party for what was listed on the paper as various utility purposes. I immediately had visions of Charlton Heston standing on a truck yelling, "Soylent Green! It's people!"
People.
And after complaining, says Samurai, they brought a body back, but it was not her grandmother. It took a week, but they finally found and returned the correct body to her. Oddly enough, it was only missing some toes. I wish I could tell you I was making this shit up. She was cremated and will be interred this June. I tried to talk her into getting an attorney, if for no other reason than to draw attention to the poor handling, but she told me that she was not that kind of person. I want to pause there. That's pretty nuts, right? Like that. I'm not overreacting here. That seems criminal, right? They're just giving away the wrong body.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt, geez, take it away, buddy.
Well, it's for that to occur. This person who was, stored in a morgue temporarily, I assume, must not have had any kind of labeling on them. Whoever, physically spoke to this person did not take any notes, so there's no medical record whatsoever of communication with the family member. This is baffling to me that this could occur, because for her body, the grandmother's body, to be unlabeled and then shipped off, that means there was another body that was unlabeled and shipped off, because that person was clearly not John Doe or Jane Doe. It was, or maybe it was, maybe they're all listed as Jane Does. It makes me think about when someone comes in and they have no family member to take care of them, perhaps someone who is without a home or someone who passes away, just that doesn't have anyone, how that system kind of takes place, right? If there's no ID to identify the body, then it does. We talked about that body can go away for purposes of donation. But man, to think that it could happen to somebody who I'm assuming had an ID, was associated with wherever she was living, had an address, and was able to still get taken away as an unknown and then lost.
And had a support network as well. That's frankly, that's one of the most disturbing parts, because at least one body got mixed up, right? But that in this kind of situation, it's not unreasonable to assume the cockroaches rule, which is when you see one thing wrong, there are probably many other examples that just aren't visible yet. And luckily, this story has somewhat of a happy ending. But Samurai, your friend is not the only person who has had this experience. Far from the only person. And something needs to be done to seriously clean up this industry. But we didn't want to end on an entirely down note. And Samurai, I don't think you did either. So thank you for this. Here is the second thing you said. And I thought this would be a nice thing for us to discuss together. Samurai says, I would love it if you followed this episode, Body Brokers, with an episode about the good ways to inter a family member. My wife and I want to use a service like Capsula Mundi, where the corpse is placed in a cocoon with a sapling or seed and allowed to be nourishment for a new tree. To me, that is what should be happening. I mean, in your own way, you're reincarnating. That which was once you is becoming a part of another living thing. How much better can it get? And that's from Samurai, but that was inspiring. I know we've talked a little bit about alternative methods, alternatives to burial or even cremation. Sometimes people have to do this. People have to seek these alternatives because of the cost factors associated, right? It can be tremendously difficult to pay those expenses, especially when the death is unexpected. But there are other things you can do, and I would like to maybe just pitch some ideas to you guys, to our fellow conspiracy realists. First, the Capsula Mundi thing, that sounds pretty poetic, right? That's pretty neat. Become a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I guess, yeah.
Just considering the ecosystem that comes along with a single tree, right? The number of organisms and amount of animal and plant life that gets supported through that one plant.
Is that the same as a green burial, or is it related?
Not quite. But yeah, they are. I would say they're related. So the green burial thing is also beautiful in its way because the body is not embalmed. It's just placed into a biodegradable container. There's an excellent little monastery close to Atlanta called Our Lady of the Holy Spirit, and they are a green burial site. As a matter of fact, Mission Control and I, a number of years ago, worked on a short documentary about this. And the burial pod, though, the Capsula Mundi, I don't know how far it's spread yet as an idea, but the biodegradable urn is $440. That doesn't count the cost of the tree, but that's a lot less than a typical funeral, and it might bring some peace to people to think that they're continuing in the life cycle of the earth.
If you'll remember, too, if anyone out there is 6 Feet Under fans, there's a subplot, I won't go into any spoilers, but where someone wants to bury someone naturally, under a tree and all that. And it's not legal to just do it anywhere, right? Like, you have to have a permit to do it. It has to be in a particular approved area. You can't just go around burying unembalmed bodies willy-nilly, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can understand how people would want some regulations there. Even people who are against regulations will be like, we should have some rules about who can put bodies where, just in general, not to be a party pooper, but let's get on the same page about that. You'll also hear green burial called recompost, or human composting. But I think green burial is probably where the marketing folks landed. We talked about donating your body to science. Be very careful with that. Again, it's one of the most noble things you can do, but do a lot of homework before. One thing that startled me, you guys, it is legal to be buried at sea. Your cremated remains or your body, just drop them in the ocean, and
go the way of Osama.
Yep. Pull a Bin Laden, but hopefully a consensual one. It is $200 to $400 US.
Wow.
That's it. It seems like you would need to. It seems like there would be some more fees for environmental concerns or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, like, Well, I mean, let's maybe this is a silly question, but I mean, obviously the sea is a great way of disposing of illegitimately deceased bodies. So, how do you differentiate the legit ones from the illegit ones in the event of like having to drag a seabed or something like that when looking for a disposed of corpse?
Oh, it's a
Right.
big tattoo they put on your chest.
Right on the face.
It says,
Okay.
this was on purpose.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
that's exactly what it is.
Oh, boy.
Guys, I cannot wait for Burial at Space. How fun is
Yes.
that going to be?
You know, that's my dream too, man. I don't even have to be this body doesn't even have to be dead this time around. Just put me on a ship, find the path that will go the furthest into the ink without being interrupted by something, and then I'll just go for it. And there's another one which is weird because I know we've always wanted to talk a little bit about it on Stuff They Want You to Know, but it's not quite related to conspiracy. It's the concept of sky burial. And I know we've all talked about this off air, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Noel's favorite thing ever, I think.
Oh, that's got to be some sarcasm. Yeah, it's when it's in the Caucasus and mostly in Tibet. It's the idea that when somebody dies, let's see, it's in Tibet, Inner Mongolia, as well as parts of Mongolia, Bhutan, maybe a little bit of India in the past. But it's the idea that when someone dies, you have a funeral rite where you take them up into the mountains, a highly elevated place, and you feed their body to scavenging birds, vultures.
No, thank you. Nope. I'm good. I'm okay.
So,
Are you sure, Noel? Because we can arrange it.
So grisly. Look, man, like I said, throw me in the trash. I subscribe to that model, the Frank from Always Sunny in Philadelphia model. I don't particularly have any stock or any, preconceived ideas of the afterlife and what burial, method grants me access to said afterlife. So do what thou wilt with my corpse. For me, it's going to be more about the comfort of my loved ones and the folks remaining. But I say to them, throw me in the trash. Or do what Johnny Depp did to Hunter S. Thompson's ashes. He also spent $3 million on it, apparently. He fired them out of a cannon. That sounds like fun.
$3 million
What about-
to
Yeah, what
fire
about you,
ashes out of a cannon?
Yeah, I don't understand
oh, what-
either. I just know that some of Depp's finances were revealed in a lawsuit, and there was a line item on there where he spent $3 million to pay for the ceremony to fire Hunter S. Thompson's ashes out of a cannon.
Whoa.
what about you, Matt? What are your what's your spiritual take?
I want the
if
full
you-
Sumerian, full Egyptian. Like, give me the works. Organs
Guts to
in
be put in
jars.
jars. Yeah.
Yeah. Start building the pyramid now.
Yeah.